So hello, welcome to my next video. I was not originally going to do this next video on this particular topic, but as of last night I discovered that Dr. Henry Reed is in fact in the hospital and he's facing renal failure. His kidneys are struggling, and so I decided instead to make this video in which I explain how I uh, synchronistically became connected to and involved with Dr. Henry Reed, who is, I think I'll put it in the title or the description, but he has been the director of psychic development programs for Edgar Cayce's A.R.E, Association for Research and Enlightenment, for over 20 years now. And yeah, the way in which I became connected to him, and one of his newest projects called the Dream Helper Circles. If you've never heard of it, I do post about it on my Facebook, but if you've never heard about it, the Dream Helper Circles are phenomenal. They're incredible. But anyway, yeah, he is struggling in the hospital right now, and I want to send him a ton of love from my heart, and healing thoughts, healing vibes for him and for his wife Janice, who is also having a difficult time with this. I can only imagine. So I send them my love and healing thoughts, and I ask any of you who end up watching this to also do so as well. And don't worry if you end up watching it long after this, because, you know, that intention can and is retroactive. It can act retroactively and send those good vibes, those good healing vibes to the person who needs it when they need it. Okay, so please go ahead and do send that love from your heart and healing thoughts. And I very much appreciate it, as I'm sure Dr. Henry Reed and his wife Janice will as well. Okay, so for this, um, Chronicles by Confessions, which is, again, if you're not familiar with it, that's what I've been doing. I've been tagging little vignettes and stories that I'm asked to step up, step forward, and share with everyone. And usually it entails things that are connected to, like events or situations or experiences that I've lived out in my life that are somehow connected to, everything that's going on, because I've uh, I've struggled to keep these things hidden for so long. And there was good reason for it at the time, but now it's time that it all come out. It's time to take off all those masks and just be authentic, just be real, and just tell the stories that need to be told, because those who need to hear it will hear it, I'm sure. And if I'm being guided and asked to do this, I surrender and trust that it is going to be helping someone at some point. So, okay, so again, let me begin with, for this particular chronicle by confession, I have to go back a little bit in time, because what happened was last year, at the beginning of last year, January 2018, I had made the decision to go live and study in a program at it was a primarily Buddhist monastery, although it was primarily Zen Buddhism, though it drew from other sects of Buddhism. I got to study, some more Mahayana and Vajrayana differences in Buddhism, and also there were Lakota influences because one of the head teachers there had studied with the Lakota people. So, uh, I ended up having the benefit of that, some of those teachings as well. And uh, it was a phenomenal experience. But anyway, when I first got there, it's kind of a process, and I imagine it's like that at most monasteries, whether they be Buddhist or Catholic or whatever. I imagine there's a sort of process similar to this one in which you arrive at the monastery and you fall into the flow of the monastic schedule, which is quite rigid, by the way. But it's just it's incredible. It's amazing as an experience. But anyway, so you after some time, after a predetermined amount of time, you sort of sit with the head teacher and whomever else applies at that time, um, and have this conversation, a two-way conversation in which you kind of make the decision as to whether you feel you would want to stay there longer and study further, or not, and likewise you get feedback about how they feel about your continuation of your studies and living, your residence at the monastery. So I basically, I went through, the first what I think it was a week and a half or so, and then we had that sit down conversation. And at this point, I wanted to be like really authentic. I wanted to make sure that if I was going to be staying here for any length of time and really diving deep within myself and like really allowing myself to dive down into that void, in a safe environment, in a place where I could also dive into my spiritual, esoteric, and other sacred studies while learning about myself. Um, but I decided that it was a good fit for me to stay longer, but I wanted to make sure that I would be uh, well, fully accepted for whom I am in my entirety. And so during that sit down conversation with the head teacher, I told him, hey, listen, I have been experiencing this unfoldment this lifetime and a series of awakenings. And I told him that I had come to the realization that I had opened up from a very, very young age to certain abilities. Uh, I did cover in a previous video. I told the story of my earliest recollection of psychokinetic abilities, of the ability to move things with your mind, and it it was unfortunately a traumatic experience in which I shut it all down. I shut it all down because I saw how fearful my biological mother, especially, but and my father as well, became of me. Because even though the narrative by both of them was rewritten, I guess so they could keep their sanity, because they couldn't quite come to grips with what exactly um, I was exhibiting at a as a toddler. So I don't know, I can only imagine, because I have three sons myself, and I've experienced certain things with them, but they were different and at different ages. So anyway, I opened up to the head teacher at the monastery about that, because I wanted him to know exactly who I was in my entirety. I didn't want to keep parts of me hidden. I wanted to know that if I was going to be allowed to be there, mind, body, and soul, that, you know, it would all be with full transparency and all truths laid out on the table, so to speak. So I told him about this, and I was actually quite nervous in telling him, okay, so listen, I've discovered along the way that, you know, hey, listen, I have let's see, clairsentient, prophetic clairsentience being my probably my strongest intuitive ability or gift with a capital G. Um, but then, you know, clairsentience, clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, the downloads, getting downloads, um, and psychokinesis, moving things with the mind, psychometry, which was astounding. That was kind of a recent discovery in which I found I could, you know, read the energy off of objects, and that belonged to people, or that people cherished or held in some way, you know, in some high regard, and touched a lot frequently. So anyhow, and in that way, by the way, I have been able to assist in a case with the police, you know, to with detectives to work on a case. But you know, I'll get into that maybe in another story. But anyway, um, and I told him all of this at that time. I'm like, look, you want me to stay here? Because it seemed like everything was flowing right, and it was the right decision, the right move for me at that particular time in my journey. And they were welcoming to me, and they were like, they felt I would be a great addition to the monastery as well. So I wanted to make sure we were clear what we're talking about, and what my interests and studies would also entail. Because are you kidding me? You know, I mean, I've been for decades now incessantly researching this on my own. It's all self-directed, self-guided, and you know, with my inner guidance, but primarily. But it's been an important part of my life, as you can imagine. So anyway, um, now with this psychokinesis, with the psychokinetic abilities, basically, I found out that because I repressed it for so many years after that first initial traumatic experience when I was a toddler, and I scared the shit out of my biological parents, in a way, in some ways. Like I said, I shoved it down for years. I didn't even want to acknowledge that part of myself. I didn't even want to. Yeah. Anyway, but things would come up here and there. Strange little things or unusual things would happen, and like I clearly remember laying there in a patch of grass in a park at an early age, like maybe kindergarten, right around there, 5, 6, 7, 8, at most. You know, I was laying on this grassy knoll, looking up at the sky, and I thought it was one of those times when the clouds are like poofy, wispy, low-lying clouds are kind of moving kind of quickly right above you. And I was looking up, and I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I could like stop them from moving? And long story short, I did. Okay, and I know. You know, it's so funny because so many people believe in these concepts, but then when you say something like that, it's like dun dun dun. It's like you could feel, I could palpably feel, usually when I say something like this to someone, um, the whole the jarring effect that takes place within them, and that's not my intent. It's just, again, I am who I am. I'm just now finally talking about it openly and freely. But I've always been who I am, okay? So, anyhow, uh but yeah, I told all of this to the head teacher at the monastery, and uh, at that meeting, the deciding meeting, and I said, well, I just wanted you to know. So before you fully embrace my staying here longer. And he, much to my surprise, started talking to me about all these things. He started giving me information, and I have mentioned, what did I do with that? Ah, yes, that book I had mentioned. Oh, if I can find it. Oh, jeez. Okay. This book, I have mentioned it on my Facebook account, and so that's about the time that he told me that when he was in college, he had even though he was an ordained Zen Buddhist monk, when he went to college, he studied with one of his professors was Dr. Charles Tart. And this is one of the many incredible books that Dr. Charles Tart has written in regards to this topic. And based on, I mean, like legit empirical research, well-researched data, and, you know, it was a scientifically collected data so that it could be reproducible, and you get the point. So anyhow, this man did, I believe, is like over 4 decades of this sort of work, and this book is phenomenal. This is it's called The End of Materialism: How Evidence of the Paranormal is Bringing Science and Spirit Together. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And he has many other books he's written that are phenomenal for understanding altered states of consciousness, and how to direct through the intent and the will, your own awareness, and guiding it into seeing from these different states of consciousness, and different levels, different dimensional levels, so that you are seeing from, well, very different perspectives, not limited by the human mind. Okay, so now, um, and so I was amazed when this book, like, that was one of the first books I ordered, shortly after leaving the monastery. About almost 6 months later, I came to, I was there for almost 6 months. Like I said, amazing, incredible experience. Came to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I've been living here with my youngest son. And I've been doing, well, a lot of different things that have been ignited within me on this path, on this journey. And it's just like, I've been doing so many things that I know is, it's, I'm being led to these things for reasons that I may not fully comprehend right now, but at the same time, the work is incredible. It's amazing. So anyhow, so if you get a chance to read this, get a chance to read Charles Tart's um, End of Materialism. But in researching that and doing more research about it on the internet, I ended up coming across someone who was doing similar work, very similar work, but in different ways, and through the A.R.E., through Edgar Cayce's Association for Research and Enlightenment, and who was, I guess, titling much of his work as, or billing it as, hey, this is an incredible new way uh, to help. How do I put it? Even the normies, like, that sounds derogatory, but that's, I don't mean it like that. I'm sorry. I mean people who are not, who for whom this kind of talk and this kind of information and knowledge, and accepting this about about people. They're not quite there yet, and it's not their cup of tea. That's the kind of phrase that you often hear, but basically it's about fears, and so, and that's fine. I don't judge. I don't judge. I Hey, listen, there were years in this lifetime alone that I myself like pushed a, a lot of this away. So I don't judge, okay? And I'm not here to judge anyway. So, but yeah, um, where was I? So I had connected. Oh no, I was doing research. I was doing research on essentially that how evidence of the paranormal is bringing science and spirit together. And for me, it became like, you know, I started to embrace and step in more and more into the fact that I've had these abilities since I was little, and I myself have been afraid of them in a lot of ways. Yeah, and like astral traveling, like I wouldn't talk to people about. There's very, very few people I would talk to about any of this, because also, unfortunately, times that I did try, I either, well, I got abused for it, I got put down for it, humiliated, mocked, um, told I have a big ego just because I'm just telling the truth. Um, and of course, actually physically attacked and psychically attacked. So that is the reality of it too. And that's a big part of the reason why I have kept all this internally and more inwardly to myself, and not really opened up about it till recently, which, by the way, there's no going back, baby. There's no going back. I'm loving this. I'm loving every moment of this. And I could tell you whatever I want to tell you. I could tell you everything that happened in all these videos. And you know what? Yeah, yeah, I can do that. So, and it feels good each and every time I do. So, anyhow, going back to, I was searching for ways desperately to make the parent, to help. How can I, when it's all said and done, be able to say that I assisted or helped to make the paranormal normal. Now understand that there are aspects of the paranormal that, yeah, are scary, and they should be. But I mean, think about it. There's That's like everything in life. Everything, there's it's an upside, a downside, a double-edged sword, or good and bad to it, or in some cases much more bad than good, or vice versa, but it is what it is, okay? And so, yes, the paranormal does um, carry its abusive interchanges and dangers as well, but so does the physical. So, all right, so and the more we learn about it, the more we um, demystify it, if you will, demystify the mystical, the more we will, you know, learn and have it more on an overt level, so that it's not as easy for people to get away with abusing these abilities. That's another aspect. Okay, so anyhow, so I was desperately searching for how I could have a hand in that, how I can participate and help out in making little freaks like me, not scary to others, and to understand that there are many of us who respect the duty that comes with these abilities that have opened up within us, and not hurt others or not add suffering to the world just because we can't. There's people that can commit murder. This doesn't mean you should do it. Well, same thing with people with paranormal quote unquote supernatural abilities, because they're not supernatural. They're just a natural part of your human potentiality, Um, and you're just denying, in my experience and what I've seen, you're just denying yourself if you limit how far you think you can go, because you think you can only go as far as this physical body is going to take you, and that's just not true. So, because there's so much more than the physical. So, but anyway, um, going back to the story. um, I was researching off of Dr. Charles Tart's End of Materialism and his other works to find other people doing similar kind of work in which the paranormal is being brought into the light in such a way that it is also de-demonized. Okay, so and that's when I came across Dr. Henry Reed's work. Okay, because like I said, he's been uh, the director for psychic development programs for the A.R.E. for over 20 years now, and he's done a lot of things. You can find so many of his books as they relate to his own work, but also his interpretations and work that he's done with the A.R.E., with Edgar Cayce's body of knowledge and wisdom that he imparted before he left us. So, um, yeah, Dr. Henry Reed, his latest projects, the Dream Helper Circles, just amazing, freaking phenomenal. I mean, okay, so real quick, a Dream Helper Circle, max participants should be 10. That's, at least that's how he has it right now. And then there's an administrator, which is what I did. But basically, when I came across the information about the Dream Helper circles, I saw that it was participants. There was an administrator that ran the circle, and then it's a week-long set of activities in which, after the first, no, on the second night, the participants will agree and send a written intent to open up to dreaming, through, allowing spirit to come through their dreams that night to bring forth the highest message for a randomly chosen focus person in the group. And then after, oh, and by the way, here, even people who frequently say they cannot remember their dreams whatsoever to save their life or whatever, but they even those people are able to remember their dreams and send feedback, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful process. Anyway, the rest of the week is kind of spent analyzing and cross-analyzing uh, the dreams that the dreamers dreamt for the focus person, until we have synthesized it and sort of revisualized it and reconceptualized it into a more succinct message that ends up being incredibly appropriate for the focused person by the end of the week. You know, there are so many testimonials about this, and this is such a great way for even people, newbies who've never dabbled, never dipped their feet in these kinds of waters. People who think they cannot remember of their dreams, so they wouldn't be able to participate. People who it just, people who are psychics, or mediums, intuitives that already are working in this kind of field, in this kind of work, or people who are totally, completely, absolutely new to any of this. um, and it's just a great way for them to participate and actually, in a gentle way, without having to do some of these other methodologies that people take up, like, for example, through the use of certain substances like DMT, ayahuasca, uh, shrooms, and whatnot to experience. Well, it's almost like to push for these near-death experiences in which you either cross the veil or the veil is thinned for you during the experience, and you kind of see some things, whatever. But this is kind of a real mild, gentle way for people who've never, from all levels of experience to participate and see and feel for themselves the benefit of a focalized group altruistic intent, which is what this is fueled on. And it's incredible because by the end of the week the messages are invariably really appropriate, like I said, for the focus person. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful process. I can't speak enough of it, and I will be doing more of these dream helper circles. I need a little bit of time right now, because I'm going through my own things right now, and I'm just kind of stepping away from that for a little bit so that I can process what I'm experiencing in my own personal life, going through my own trials and ordeals at the moment, with certain aspects of my being, and opening up my heart in ways I never. Anyway, I digress. uh, but basically, when I saw that Henry was conducting this sort of work, I emailed him, and I got an email back, and we started communicating. And when he asked me what my interest was in participating in these uh, Dream Helper circles, I told him I didn't want to just participate in them. I wanted to run them. I wanted to administrate a circle. And I told him about how my head teacher at the monastery had studied with Dr. Charles Tart, who does this kind of work, and I want to meet more people like that. And that's how I found his work. And I'm like, look, I need to be involved. And um, that was one of the first synchronicities, because that's when he told me that Charlie, had been uh, his colleague in the 70s when they were both going to grad school at UCLA for the work that they both do now. They both went together and they knew each other at grad school. And I was like, what? Anyway, so Dr. Henry Reed and I, we kept in touch, and he said that the next time that he would be gearing up to do a circle, that I could read the booklet that he wrote about it, about how to run what the dream circle helper circle is, how to run it, um, a little bit about the ins and outs of it, and this sort of thing, and then to get back to him um, about it, and he would also let me know the next time he would be running the project. So that was last summer of 2018, and then I kind of stayed in touch with him through email here and there, and then right before the end of February, he informed me he was going to be running some circles, and I saw that he already formed two, and um, and then I came into the picture, and I was like, hey, 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 don't forget, I really want to run this circle for you. I mean, you don't understand. I've read the manual. I've read the booklet. I'm all about, this is me through and through to the bones. Okay, buddy, I want to be involved in this. So anyhow, I mean, I didn't quite say it like that, but but he was very welcoming and was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Let's let's get you running a circle. And this time, which began, that circle was a 7-day circle back in February, 22nd of 2019, this year. And that was the first day. Yeah, February 22nd, which was a cool date. 222 2019. But anyway, okay, so under his mentorship and under his wing, so to speak, um, I ran my first circle, my first Dream Helper circle back then, and in this past February, and I did not expect the incredible things that occurred, because everybody really truly pulls together to with their intent, and it crystallizes for all the participants right in, it's like in front of your face. You see, you cannot deny the power of spirit moving through people who have connected to their heart and are trying to do something helpful for someone else. It's just, I mean, even Dr. Henry Reed's wife, Janice, whom I also connected with, and she's also an incredible, amazing, intuitive herself, and a beautiful goddess herself. And she's uh, told me about how, like some of the miracles that, I mean, essentially, it's like normal everyday people having the opportunity to tap into the miracle frequency, like gently, smoothly, easily, without any like side effects, so to speak, or any it's just incredible. So so I ran the circle, and the person who was chosen to be the focus person, I know her. Actually, I didn't know everyone that participated in the circle I ran, and people choose aliases, so that you really don't know who's, like it's really to minimize any kind of biases and this sort of thing, and so it works really well. But I happen to know the focus person, and because she lives here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania as well. And by the end of the week, the messages were so appropriate, and her family was in let's put it just, I'm not going to get into the details because I'm not going to divulge personal details about somebody else's life, but basically afterwards, as a result, she and her family took a vacation that was much needed, and she just couldn't send me enough pictures and send me messages thanking me, saying, oh, this was so helpful, we really needed to do this. So that was great, that was wonderful. But something happened during that first circle for me as well. Oh yeah, oh yeah. See, all right, so as the administrator of the circle, you do not participate in sending a promise to the focus person that you're going to try to stay open to receiving a message from spirit, which is the highest message for that person that night, so forth and so on. I don't do that. I mean, there's enough work as an administrator in collating everybody's feedback and responses, and again, synthesizing it into something that ends up becoming a usable transcript by the end of the project for all participants to receive a copy and see, uh, have something they can refer back to about this whole experience. Because everyone, even the dreamers who dream for the focus person, end up saying how moving this experience was, and how they didn't realize they could even open up their intent and connect to doing something like this for someone else and having it work. That's the magic right there. But anyway, so for me, that was the part I wasn't expecting. Really wasn't expecting this shit, okay? Because what happened for me is that on, I think it was like day 3 or 4, um, Dr. Henry Reed, as a courtesy, sent me a digital copy of of the Edgar Cayce's A.R.E magazine, quarterly magazine called Venture Inward, right? So this is a copy I have here to show you. It looks like this. It's a quarterly magazine which has um, such wonderful and well written articles on some really like innovative work being done in this field, and really new niches being discovered in different intuitive gifts, and how and in the processes that people are using to connect to the and open up to these gifts. um, it's a great magazine. I love it. But anyway, I mean the title itself, Venture Inward. That's beautiful. That's beautiful right there. Okay, so anyhow, he sends a digital version of this to me, and I'm reading it. I'm reading the articles. I'm enjoying the fuck out of it. This is just right up my alley, right? So I'm enjoying it, and I get to this one article about about Manly P. Hall, who, if you don't know who he is, you should get acquainted with him big time, because he also, he's like, he collected, I don't know if it's the largest, but one of the largest esoteric libraries throughout his lifetime for years, and he made it a point to, um, right before he died, he consigned it all to the Getty Institute, who has taken the time to take photocopies of every page of every book that Manly P. Hall was able to purchase and collect and curate. So I mean, this whole extensive library through the Getty Images is also available online, so you can read all these esoteric texts for free online, all thanks to Manly P. Hall. And that's what he wanted. That's his legacy. That's one of the legacies he left, as well as his Philosophical Society in Los Angeles, which I have not been there, but oh my God, I'm so gonna go there one day. I'm there. Okay, okay. Anyhow, and good luck ever getting me out of there. But anyhow, I was reading the online version, and I come to this article right here on Manly P. Hall, right? Esoteric America, right? So the patriotic vision of Manly P. Hall. And I'm like, okay, cool, good, that's cool, that's chill. I I actually did not know that much about him, okay, and I was like, all right, yeah, I know about him, that's cool, that's chill. And I'm reading the article, and then I flip the page, and here on this page, check this out, check this out. Can you see? It's like, um, it's a picture of him when he was younger. Um, and up to that point, I had never really seen one. And I know there's a few that exist, but he's kind of like, to me, he seems like Einstein, where with Einstein, you've seen primarily all the photos of Einstein you've ever seen are like when he's older and older age, but um, you don't see like too many young Einstein photos, young Albert pics. Where are they? There aren't that many. I don't know. Anyway, but I mean, he was a persecuted Jew in Nazi Germany, so probably lost those belongings and pics long, long ago. Right? So anyway, this photo of Manly um, blew my blew my shit. Okay? Because when I had never seen a photo of him as his younger self, and when I did, I realized this is the man who has been coming to me in my dreams for like over a year now, for like the first for literally for like now well, it's close to coming up on 2 years now. But anyway, the first time he came to me in a dream, and he comes as his younger self. He looks as his younger self, and look at those intense. Look at those intense ass eyes, and like he's another one of my guides is Paramahansa Yogananda, and talk about intensity in the eyes. Oh my God! But anyway, look at this. Look at that. Right? Those are some intense fucking eyes, right? So, anyhow, but first time he came to me in a dream, those intense eyes kind of got me. I was like, whoa. What are you so intense about, buddy? And I guess I have a disposition that, I don't know, a lot of the connections I have, my guides, my my higher self, like my guides and my angelic assistants, they get a kick out of my my, my attitude sometimes. But anyway, so I'm like, what's up with you with those intense eyes? And he says, don't you know who I am? And I said, this is the first time he came in a dream. Like I said, almost coming up on 2 years ago now. And I said, no, I don't know who you are. And he's like, my name starts with an M. And I was like, okay, that doesn't help. And he disappeared. Okay, so then he appeared several other times since then. In my dreams, and he was intent on letting me know that he was there to help me to learn, something. But he wasn't like giving up what it was until I figured out who he was and why he was there exactly. But he was trying. And thank you, thank you so much, Manly, for insisting on trying, because now I have a great relationship with him, and he's one of my main guides, and as it is a really important part of my mission to get acquainted with the esoteric texts and sacred scriptures from all different ideological belief systems humanity has held, past and present. Manly's a good guide to have. So that works out really well. But anyway, so I kind of tripped out when I was running this Dream Helper Circle for Dr. Henry Reed from the A.R.E. this past February. And I myself, not being the administrator, not expecting to have a dream, had this dream on not the night that all the dreamers had their dream for the focus person. I think it was like it was 2 nights later, so it must have been night 4 of the 7. But I'm gonna tell you, it was a little bit hard to like hold my shit and keep my shit together a little for the rest of the week, because I was like bliss tripping. Like bliss tripping, like fuck. Manly P. Hall is one of my main guys. That's fucking cool. And I need the help with this. Fuck yeah. So, even as the administrator, the Dream Helper Circle, created by Dr. Henry Reed, whom I have a tremendous amount of respect for, as well as a camaraderie that I feel with him and his wife, and a connection beyond words, obviously, which is exactly fitting for what we're doing here, and what this is about. That would only make sense, that the connections would have made in this synchronistic unfoldment sort of way. And I consider them my friends, and I hope Henry is doing better now. But I'll be connecting with them to let them know. But if you guys watching this could also send your heartfelt goodwill and intentions for Henry, so that his kidneys can pull through and he can be okay as soon as possible, that would be great, because this man, if you don't know him, check him out. Dr. Henry Reed, Director of Psychic Development Programs for Edgar Cayce's A.R.E, and check out all the books he's written, drawing from the Sleeping Prophets work, and from Edgar Cayce, and how vital and how beautifully natural this process is that he developed dream helper circles for helping everyone and anyone open up gently, softly to their own intuitive natures, and how to flow with it without being scared, for those who don't normally do this. So that's huge, in my opinion. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. If everyone has the opportunity to directly experience the benefit of, like I said, focalized group altruistic intent, and actually see it firsthand, direct experience, and see the gift that it is, and how things are truly connected, interconnected on every level, not just the physical. The physical is the illusion. Yes, everything else, everything's connected. Um, this wouldn't work otherwise, And so imagine what that would do for people to, like, even normal normies, everyday people who don't, for whom this is not their normal cup of tea. If they can see how much there is beyond the physical, and how everything is truly connected, and what the spirituality thing is about, and how it is one and the same as science. It's always been connected. It's never been that separation is also an illusion. So, holy cow, I've gone 52 minutes and 12 seconds on this video now. With that, I hope I've given you a lot of information to go and do some research, if this is also an area of interest for you, or if you want to learn more about developing your own intuitive abilities, and deepening your connection to your own intuition and living intuitively, and about the work of some of these incredible people, including, like Manly P. Hall may not be with us in the physical anymore, but as you can see, you can still benefit from connecting with him as I do. And Dr. Charles Tart's empirical scientific research and data compiled that is undeniable, even in the scientific community, and of course, Dr. Henry Reed, which we send much love to, and healing thoughts at this time. So thank you for joining me and listening to this Synchronicity, this Chronicles by Confessions story, and I hope you've gotten, again, like I said, a lot of info as well for your journey, and much peace, love, and light from my heart to you, as always.